Have Newcastle found the Premier League's next elite centre-back for only £35 million? After being recalled to the Germany squad, it feels like it could be a breakthrough season for Malick Thiaw, both for club and country. And it's already starting to feel like Newcastle have picked up the bargain of the season. Malick Thiaw has become one of the most complete young centre-backs in the league, and if you don't believe me now, you'll be convinced by the end of this video. While Newcastle have struggled for consistency, he's been our star performer. So let's deep dive into what makes Thiaw so special, starting with his elite level defending. One of the traits that we see in the best centre backs is decision making, especially when they make difficult situations look so simple. And in only 8 games, Malick Thiaw has shown flashes of brilliance that separate good centre-backs from great centre-backs. In the game against Arsenal, you had Miles Lewis-Skelly making a run in behind Kieran Trippier, and a threatening situation is about to develop. And I want you to look closely at Malick Thiaw. He's responsible initially for picking up Eze, but as that ball is played in behind by Odegaard, you can see his attention shifts. And you can already see that elite level decision making at this stage. Gabriel Martinelli is free at the back post, and look at the difference in reaction from Malick Thiaw to the other defenders in the back line. And without Malick Thiaw's quick thinking, this is an easy square along the box for Martinelli to tap it into an open net. As he makes that decision to get across, he knows he has to get across to the passing line as soon as possible. And a lovely last-ditch interception to make that block on the cross and get it out for a corner. And these are the types of situations that are happening regularly in the Premier League and in the Champions League. And if you think that was a fluke, the exact same situation happened again a couple weeks later against Brighton. You had Minte making that run in behind Dan Burn. He's never going to be able to catch him up once he wins that foot race. And look at Malick Thiaw, already in that central defensive position, taking care of his own marker, but making that quick split-second decision to switch focus as soon as that ball is played in behind by Belabor. And Thiaw's recovery pace is so quick, especially as that last man in the defensive line. He curves that run, making sure he cuts off an easy pass to Gomez whilst getting closer to Minte on the ball. And as he gets closer, one large big step, just to prevent that quick pass across the box. And as he gets closer to Minte, he's virtually blocked off the passing line, and Minte doesn't feel comfortable using that right foot to try and get it around Thiaw. And when he doesn't do so, he uses that left foot and it's blocked by Thiaw. And he nullifies something that could have been so dangerous for Newcastle again when the scores are locked at 0-0. And in terms of the data, he leads the Newcastle squad in interceptions per 90 and is just outside the top 10 out of the whole Premier League. Whether Newcastle are holding a high line like against Brighton or a deep line like against Arsenal, Malick Thiaw adapts and is comfortable in both situations. And the combination of his pace, positioning, and the confidence of his own abilities makes him so comfortable in 1v1 situations. In the game against Arsenal, Gyökeres is slipped through in behind on the counter-attack, and Malick Thiaw again is the last man in that back line. He has the pace to get alongside Gyökeres, and then they're in that 1v1 duel situation. Gyökeres tries to use that burst of pace to get to the byline and get around Malick Thiaw, but Malick Thiaw stays side by side, using that pace to stay with Gyökeres, and as Gyökeres realizes he hasn't had the pace to get the extra yard away from Thiaw, he tries to cut back inside with that left foot. But Thiaw just reads the situation perfectly, making a tackle on the ball, clean as you like, and then he's away and carrying the ball up the pitch because he's just as comfortable with the ball at his feet. But there was a 1v1 opportunity against Spurs in the Carabao Cup that was impressive because it was unorthodox how he chose to deal with the situation. Tottenham win the ball back in the middle third and play the ball through the lines into Richarlison's feet. And as they're winning it on the transition, Malick Thiaw is slightly out of position. And what you would expect once Richarlison picks up this ball is for a centre-back to recover into that space that's been vacated and force Richarlison out wide. But that's not what Malick Thiaw does. Now, Richarlison isn't the best at 1v1s, but what Thiaw does is so clever. He knows Richarlison wants to go onto his stronger right foot and actually move on the outside of Thiaw's original positioning. So what Malick Thiaw does is he slows. He slows down and allows him to move forward into that central space if he wants to. But Richarlison falls for the bait, tries to still go on the outside, and it's a clean tackle by Malick Thiaw. And in a Premier League that's obsessed with set pieces, long throws, and winning the aerial battles, being dominant in the air is essential. And Malick Thiaw is one of the best in the Premier League this season. the third highest success rate in aerial duels within the whole Premier League, only behind Anton Stack and Virgil van Dijk. And he loves to use that strength and physicality to unsettle an attacker, and at the end of it, if he has that composure, he tries to find a teammate with the header. In the game against West Ham, the ball gets headed out from a corner, and it's Callum Wilson against Malick Thiaw. And Callum Wilson is an annoying striker to play against in these aerial duel situations. He focuses on bumping you underneath the ball, but Malick Thiaw stays strong, rises up high above Wilson, and like I said, if he gets up cleanly, he has the composure and technique to find a teammate nearby, and he heads it down to Tonali, and it allows us to sustain the momentum in the attack. And he can even do it against players like Chris Wood, known for backing in against players, pinning them in these long aerial duel situations. But as that ball is played from the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Sells, they're playing 1v1 and Malick Thiaw just fixes him in position, gives him a little shove underneath the ball, and then wins that ball cleanly again. And when we look at aerial situations, he positions himself so well when it comes to defending crosses coming into the box. You can see this example against West Ham. The ball's been played in behind for Wan-Bissaka, who's lost Gordon down that right wing. And look at the body positioning of Malick Thiaw against Callum Wilson, already backpedaling before this crossing situation even occurs. And what I love about these situations is he has the technical understanding of what to do. Side on, quick shuffling of the feet to make sure that he's able to move sideways whilst looking at Wilson at the same time. And when he's ready, he already knows Wan-Bissaka is about to cross this ball. He then glances at the ball. And then he knows when this cross is about to happen, but he's comfortable with the position he's in and knowing where Callum Wilson is. And as that ball is crossed to the back post, he's in the right position to flick this ball away into safety. And this looks like nothing. It doesn't even look like Callum Wilson has made a run, but it's because of how well Malick Thiaw has put himself in the right position to deal with this type of danger. Now, like all centre-backs, he's not superhuman. He can make the odd mistake. And in the game against Brighton, he should have dropped with the back line. He should have went with Botman and closed off that central space and not allowed that ball to be played through to Danny Welbeck. But that's just a little mistake in a string of high-level performances for Newcastle United. But defending is only half the story. If you want to be an elite, modern-day centre-back, you need to be comfortable on the ball. And Malick Thiaw has shown that he has the capability to do this with some small room for improvement. Thiaw has become one of Newcastle's most progressive passers in that back line. And I'll come onto the data later to show you where he compares to the other Premier League centre-backs. But if you look at this pass against Benfica, what I love is his comfort on the ball to be able to play disguised passes through the lines. He's in that right centre-back spot, looking like he's about to play a ball out to Trippier. Even Trippier's asking for it to feet, and it just relaxes that midfield line of Benfica. And then he closes that foot at the last second, zipping that ball through to Voltemada in that left half space, in behind that midfield line. And look at that midfield pair of Benfica. The left midfielder was actually going out to Trippier as Thiaw was about to make this pass, totally getting him out of place with that disguise and the pace and zip on the ball that was needed. Beautiful execution from Malick Thiaw in this situation. And when you have a passer at centre-back that can do that from the back, then you create situations like this. Voltemada zips that ball in behind for Jacob Murphy, and if Jacob Murphy can play a better ball in behind, then Jacob Ramsey is there 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Now, Thiaw's passing isn't always easy on the eye, especially from a technical perspective on how he strikes through the ball, but most of the time, he's effective with his passes. And one of the areas that he needs to improve is his technique and execution on those aerial passes, those switches of play, those passes in behind, and it's a small detail, but it separates the good centre-backs from the elite centre-backs. And if we look at Thiaw's pass for Joelinton in the Champions League for the offside goal, Thiaw plays a beautiful ball. The execution is absolutely lovely. Driven pass for Joelinton, making a run from that left half space in behind the Athletic Club defensive line. Takes a lovely first touch and then puts it into the net with his left foot beyond the keeper. But there's a small detail that maybe some people didn't pick up in this pass. The ball was played out of his feet, and that's when you should stride onto the ball straight away if you're an elite centre-back. But he made a little hop to prepare for making such a pass over this distance. And it's a difference between an offside goal and a goal that stands. And these are the small little details in his technique that affect some of his other passing in games. In this game against Benfica, he gets caught in two minds. There's a run in behind from Jacob Murphy and a coming to feet run from Voltemada, and the ball's played kind of in between them. And these are the sort of inconsistencies that he needs to weed out from his passing game, especially for aerial passes. But the signs are good. His ground passes are of a high level, comfortable in playing that disguise to really play that ball through the lines. But what really impresses me is that after a defensive action, he has that comfort, that composure to play that ball into the Newcastle players and get attacks moving. And that can be seen from Gordon's opening goal against Benfica. The ball is played from the left midfielder of Benfica into that striker. Thiaw reads the ball again, good defensive nous to get ahead of the attacker. As he strides onto this tricky pacey ball coming into him, certain centre backs wouldn't have this level of composure. Just cushions it down with his left foot, cuts the spin out of it. Perfect first time pass for Bruno Guimaraes to turn, open out his body, play this ball in behind for Jacob Murphy, and it's an easy square along the box for Anthony Gordon to tap in. He's not comfortable just playing those balls out for a throw in or clearing the ball up the pitch and getting the ball away. He'll try and start Newcastle attacks as and when he can. And that ability to start attacks, play progressively from the back, can be seen from the data. If you look at the FBref data radar, he's in the 93rd percentile for progressive passes and the 97th percentile for progressive carries. And if you look at the pass completion, that's actually a sign of someone that's taking risks. If you're in the 90, 93rd percentile, 95th percentile, you're probably a player that's playing those safer passes in between the back line. And these are the kind of situations where he's trying to play progressively. So sometimes it's going to go well and sometimes it isn't. But what you can also see from the data radar is his defensive capabilities. 97th percentile for the percentage of aerials won. In the terms of the percentage of dribblers tackled, the 74th percentile. Getting his blocks in, his tackles and interceptions. He's just a complete defender. And he's already built a partnership with Sven Botman, another talented centre-back at the club, struggling for a bit of form at the moment, but they have the potential to have one of the best centre-back partnerships that we've ever seen at the club. Captain Bruno said it after the Nottingham Forest game, Thiaw and Sven are the future of this club. Thiaw was identified as the long-term successor to Fabian Schär and the right-sided centre-back that we desperately needed. He brings youth, pace, ball playing ability, and he has a lovely understanding with Sven Botman already. We're playing a deeper line this season, but once Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall return, that dynamic changes. With pace, technique, and physicality in all four players in the back line, we have the potential to have one of the most exciting back fours in the Premier League. And although it's only been 8 Premier League games and a handful of Champions League and Carabao Cup games, sometimes you just know. And for those of us that are old enough, the way we knew when we saw Jonathan Woodgate play those first couple games, we have a potential elite centre-back on our hands. And Thiaw has that same aura. Calm, composed, unfazed with the most tricky situations, and that comfort playing on the ball. He is the complete centre-back. So what have you made of Malick Thiaw's start to life at Newcastle, and where would you rank him right now, on form, amongst all centre-backs in the Premier League? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you want to know why Newcastle are struggling this season, and the 4 issues that Eddie Howe must fix to transform our season, then check out this video right here.